got one of our guests arrive in the studio. For a lot of younger viewers, you won't know who I'll be speaking to. A lot of the older viewers, you will. He was a prolific goal scorer in his time with Poppies in the mid-70s. He also went on later to manage Kettering Town. It is none other than goal scorer supreme, Mr. Jim Conde. Come on down, Jim.
Hi, Paul.
Hi, Jim. How are you? Not seen you for
good.
ages since last time we had a cup of coffee in a certain establishment in town. We won't mention, a Bees Wing. But great to see you.
And a phone call in Tenerife.
And a phone call in Tenerife, yes. Sorry about that, but this is what we have to do. Well, Jim made 75 appearances for us, scoring 42 goals. You scored on your debut against Dartford, I believe. And it was a great 2-1 win. You're one of the only players I know that have scored 4 goals in a game and actually been on the losing side. That was against, I think that was Hillingdon, wasn't it? You know, it must have been quite a revelation or a strange thing to be there, like losing 5-4.
Very strange, very strange. I remember we kept pushing and pushing and pressing and pressing and pressing. And then suddenly somebody said, for God's sake, give Jim the ball, let's get another goal. And I always remember that. But yeah, it was very strange. But you don't realise at the time, of course.
Your goal ratio was superb. 42 goals in 75 appearances. As I say, you scored on your debut. You scored 2 more hat-tricks against Atherstone and Redditch United. And, you were quite a player in that sort of Derek Dugan era, weren't you? You came from Boston United, of course, a team that you do hold dear at heart as well.
Yeah, very much so. That's where it really started for me. We were champions of the Northern Premier, Kettering were champions of the Southern Premier, and they used to play off for champions of the country, I suppose, non-league. And we came to Kettering, we played at Boston first, and then we came to Kettering, and it was the night that they pulled the old stand down and started building the new stand. We went for a drink and a bit of a reception at the hotel in town, the Royal, and that's when Ron had a few words with me then, Ron Atkinson, and then soon after that Howard Wilkinson was manager at Boston at the time, and he came in and said, we've had an offer. I just signed a new contract actually. Said, we've had an offer for you from Kettering that we can't really refuse. Would you like to speak to them? So I came over and met Ron, and as soon as I shook hands I thought, I've got to play for this man, and I've got to play for this club. Wonderful, beautiful, fabulous new stand. And
now gone, of course.
Yes, now gone. Every time I drive into Kettering I have a little tear because it was a very, very special. The nights, the atmosphere, remember one particular, I'm not allowed to say, one particular night we played Wimbledon, the old Dickie guy and the likes. And we played on a Friday night because they had a replay with Leeds on the Monday or the Tuesday, and they asked us to play on the Friday night, and the place was buzzing. It was humming. The crowd were just amazing, and we beat them. And it's very famous for Frank Large planting one of the Kieran Summer, I think it was, and he's. I just stood over him like that, and his eyes were flickering. Frank said, "Don't bother looking, he's out."
You were also around when we wore the famous Kettering Town tyres and the Derek Dugan. What was it like in those days? I mean, commercialism now is second to none, isn't it? Every club has one, but in those days it was a new thing, and Kettering were going through heaven and hell with the FA.
It was amazing, really. He was a character, dude. He was a good bloke. He was very good to me. We went to Ireland, and I lost my job, and he gave me a job with the club collecting the tickets on the commercial side, and it was just amazing. And when these shirts came out, of course, because his office or his premises were at the back on the Cabot Street, at the back of the Cabot Street end, and it was just amazing, the publicity. And I remember the photograph that came out was one because I'm sort of doing a little fairy dance and with another player, the ball nowhere near, and of course it exposed it, and I was just hell to pay after that.
I suppose you still got the shirt, have you?
No.
What have happened to them?
I'll just tell Martin Bellham I have, though.
Well, that'll be good then. He hasn't, honestly, he's not got it. He has, but
we had all sorts of different shirts. Of course, after that, the next away game,
Weymouth, wasn't it?
Was it when we played in blue and we had the Kettering T underneath, and he said it was Kettering Town, but everybody knew it was Kettering Tyres. But it was amazing, the publicity. They were going to fine us, they was going to dock us points and all sorts. Just amazing.
That's a shame, wasn't it, that it went like that, and then after that it was Liverpool, I think, with Hitachi and
That's
Gibbs,
right.
I think, in the Scottish League that actually went on, and of
Kettering
course
started it all off.
It's spiralled since then, hasn't it? And,
amazing.
You know, we don't really make a great deal out of sponsorship at the moment.
No.
We're trying, obviously, you know, and hopefully that will improve. But you sort of left Kettering, really, and went to Desborough, I believe, as a player coach?
Yeah, Dugan, the times were just starting to bite a little bit, the money was starting to bite a little bit. And Dugan finished the reserve team. So he said to me, there's a job going at Desborough, part-time obviously. Go on as player coach, get some experience, and then next year we're going to start the reserves again, and I want you to run it. So that's what I did. I went to Desborough for a year, just under a year. And then came back and we started, well, it was then Mick Jones. Mick Jones came, he started the youth team in the Kettering Amateur League, and I was player manager or player coach for the boys.
Because they got to Wembley, didn't they, in 78, of course, and then in 82 you became the manager of Kettering Town under the controversial departure of Colin Clark.
Yes,
what was that like?
Exactly. Very strange, very strange. We got on very well, Colin and I. We had a really, really good season. We finished
Altrincham, wasn't it?
Altrincham in both the Cup and the League. And we had a good side and good lads, very workmanlike, good people. And then a few things happened. Colin wanted more money from the board. The board hadn't got more money, and he went with him, and it caused a little bit of animosity between Colin and I because he didn't take me, and I was offered the job. And I mean, I love the club. I still love the club. I've always loved the club, and I felt it a real honour to be manager of them. And I knew that they couldn't really afford anybody else. I knew that I wasn't.
It was dramatic
silly.
times, wasn't it?
Yes, they couldn't afford to employ anybody.
John Murphy, wasn't it, was the chairman, and we all know what happened there. Really, it was unfortunate you were manager at that time. I think really because
I could write a book about that as well.
Oh, well, that's an interesting one. We'll have to get on that one and see what we can do. But after, of course, Kettering Town, you then went on to your job, your full-time job then.
Yes, which was again Kettering Town. I was a friend of mine was running a camping shop in town at Eskdale Street, and he said, I can't give you a full-time job, Jim. I would, but I can't. He said, but I can give you a couple of days. And I didn't want to sign on the dole. My pride wouldn't let me sign on the dole. So I went, and this man came in one day and wanted to buy a tent, and I sold him a trailer tent, and he said, I haven't got any money with me, will you hold it? So I'll go and get a deposit. And
that wasn't him another, was it?
No, yeah, exactly. But when he came back, the guy was the manager of City Electrical Factors in Kettering, and they said, do you want a proper job? So it was through Kettering Town. I became a rep. We got nothing from Weetabix. Weetabix, I can remember his name now. I should remember his name. The chief buyer was a real Poppies supporter. I got in there. We got money. I got into Alamask, and I got in a lot of places and everyone said, "Are you the Jim Conde who was manager of Kettering Town?" And I'd say, yes, you've got an appointment at 10 o'clock. So it really, really did. It set me up for life, really.
So you're still very fond of Kettering and still very fond of Boston United. You still look after the results.
Yes.
You know, out of the two, have you got a favourite really? Or can't you say because you're on Poppies TV? Or
yeah. Well, but Boston United probably were arguably the best non-league team in the country at the time. So it was very, very exciting. Howard Wilkinson was manager, and we went on a really long run of without defeat. I think we matched Celtic's run 40 odd games and all these sort of things.
Still good, though, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's right. And all these things were happening. But we loved Kettering. When we came to Kettering, so we came for 2 years and we can't get out. We're stuck now.
Do you see the Poppies very often at all? I know you did Rocking Road a little bit, didn't you?
I used to go to Rocking Road. I haven't been. I've been a few times. My daughter and Paula, she's a regular supporter, and her husband Jay. I come a few times with Jay. If Paula doesn't come, I'll go with him. And I love coming. I enjoy coming, and a lot of nice old faces. Good man. Getting the sack was probably one of the worst things that ever happened to me in my life. It turned out to be the best, But
at the time, no.
At the time,
Yeah.
it was very, very traumatic. Very.
Upset him.
I'd signed Frank Murphy. I thought if we'd lose Frank Murphy, we'd done. And I'd agreed a contract with Frank Murphy 2 days before I got the sack. And then he rang me up after I'd had the sack. He said, "I'm really sorry, mate." He said, "But," and he said, "I've signed." And he said, "But I got 75% more money than you offered me." And I couldn't believe it. So the money they couldn't find for me, they suddenly found.
Yeah, that just shows you, doesn't it? But,
so that wasn't very nice.
No. Well, thank you, Jim, for popping in.
Pleasure.
Great to see you, and no doubt we'll probably see you in that hostelry one more time, or a few times in the future, maybe,
Oh,
or out in
yes.
Tenerife.
Yes, of course.
Tenerife.
Yeah.
Great to hear the old stories,
Yeah.
and hopefully we'll get you back one at a time again, and then get you on again, and have more chats.
Super.
Well, that's Jim Conde, former Kettering Town player and manager. Enjoy the afternoon.
Thank you very much.
No
Good
problem
to
at
see
all.
you.
Thank you,
And I
Jim.
hope-